Hey there everyone, nice to see you all again. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to have a look at the effects of this COVID-19 pandemic on the business world. I'm going to explain to you how it works and why everyone is so constantly concerned about the businesses standing with closed doors and not doing any business and losing money and what the effects are. All right, so I'm going to use the economic cycle as a starting point, and then we'll get into some examples that might be familiar to you. Right, so the economic cycle, as you can hear from its name, it's something that keeps on repeating itself. It goes around and round and round without end. Right, so the economic cycle works in two ways. In the one way, we have money flowing round and round, and the other way we've got products and services from the factors of production. All right, so let's quickly look at the two main factors or role players in the economic cycle. At the one end you have the households, families at home. The other end you have the business, and they are interdependent on each other. They cannot live without each other. So the one has something that the other one needs constantly. So now, during a lockdown, we split the two. We create a barrier between the two, and they cannot get to each other. And that creates a problem, right? Because in the normal economic cycle, we have the households who are the owners of the factors of production. If you cannot remember what the factors of production are, I would like to refer you to one of my previous videos where I discussed the 4 factors of production in detail, but I'm quickly going to mention them just to refresh your memory. They are natural resources, capital, labor, and entrepreneurship. All right, so these 4 factors are things that are owned by the households. Think of it from a practical perspective. When we go out to do our jobs, we perform labor, and in return we get paid for that. So basically the business buys labor from us. Labor cannot perform on its own. It needs the households. Same with entrepreneurship. That's knowledge that comes from the households. Businesses need to study the households, and they need to realize what it is that households need, and then they have to sell and market and promote their products and services according to what households need. When it comes to capital and natural resources, it's also owned by the households. But on the other hand, businesses cannot do anything without those factors of production. So that's why they buy the factors of production from the households, and in return they get money. So get this picture in your mind. Households, factors of production to business. In the other way, direction, money flows in the opposite direction. So that's why we say factors of production flow in one direction and money flows in the other direction, the opposite direction. All right, so that's why we say the economic cycle is a two-way cycle. All right, so now with the lockdown, there's a barrier between households and businesses, and they cannot get past that barrier. All right, so that's the problem here. The one's got all the factors of production. The other one needs the factors of production, and they cannot get to each other. So that causes the business to stand still, because with those factors of production, the business can manufacture products and services. They can take those natural resources and they can go and create something from that natural resources. They can use laborers to perform the actual deed of making something. And well, when it comes to a final product, we all know what happens. Households buy that product again. So yeah, as I said, businesses and households, they cannot perform separately. They are interdependent on each other. And now with the lockdown in the middle, they can't reach each other. Right, so on the one end, we've got the business. They want to do business. They want to be open. They want to make money. They want to satisfy the needs and wants of households. On the other side, we have the households. They've got the money. They are willing to pay lots of money for certain products and services, but they can't. They're not allowed to. So what happens? There's no flow of factors of production, products and services, or money. Nothing happens. The economic cycle stands still. And that's the problem. That's the reason why the economy eventually comes to a standstill. And time doesn't stand still. It waits for no one. So it's going to take us months, if not years, to recover from this 5 or 6 weeks of lockdown in South Africa. That's just one country. What about the whole world? What about international markets? What about governments? Can you imagine the one government willing to do international trade, but the other government is still under lockdown? They're not allowing anyone in or out of their country. Then the world's economy comes to a standstill because everyone wants to do business, but they can't because there's a barrier preventing them from doing that. But now, the good news. Lockdown is over. How is that going to affect the economy? All of a sudden, everyone is willing to work. Everyone is willing to sell. Everyone is willing to buy. But it's not that easy. Don't think that the economy is suddenly going to explode, because some businesses are seen as essentials and they are allowed to have longer trade hours than others. Those ones that are non-essentials, they can only work in during certain times and in certain ways. So at the end of the day, it will still have an effect on the economy, because those businesses that are mostly sole traders, owned by one specific person who just wants to make enough profit to look after his family, those are the ones that are still not allowed to do business. So whenever someone you know that's a business owner, whenever he or she is allowed to open their doors, go and support them. I'm just thinking about one of my good friends, Werner at Panarottis in Hartbeespoort. I remember him putting up a picture of his Panarottis empty just after the lockdown started. It was actually sad to see a place like that empty. There's no one in there. And I've been in there for a couple of times, and it's packed every single day almost. And all of a sudden there's nothing. Where's that guy's income going to come from? It's going to come from you and me. We need to flood those places. Get your friends together. Go visit them. Go eat something at their places. Another one that I can think of is Johan at Romans in South Downs shopping centre. I remember the night before the lockdown started, people were queuing in front of his business because they were willing to pay whatever it cost to buy pizza from him. And well, it was actually sad because the next day there was nothing because of the lockdown. He wasn't allowed to do anything. So go and support Johan at South Downs Romans. Go and support Vanner at Panarottis in Harties. Flood their businesses. And it doesn't only need to be them. It can be anyone that you know that's a business owner. Go and support them so that we can get this economy onto its feet as quickly as possible. So I hope you understand what this whole fuzz is all about. It's all about the willingness from households to buy products and services, the willingness from businesses that's willing to sell these products and to satisfy needs. But the lockdown prevents both parties to get to each other and to do that business. So it's up to you and me to get out there and to go and support these businesses once the lockdown is over. Never stop working and never stop learning. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, and we'll see each other around next time. Bye-bye.